So about a month ago, I was at the gym with a homie of mine, a close friend, and we were training a back day, you know? And I don't usually train with anybody because I like to be in and out, and every single time I go with somebody, we're always talking, especially me and the specific friend. We would riff off about business, career, things that are happening, things that happen to other people, and all that, right? And I try to avoid it, you know? Especially since people would recognize us in the gym, whether they recognize us from social media or recognize us from being in school with us. And this is exactly what happened this day. And so me and this friend were hitting back, talking, and we ran into an old friend, and that old friend had a friend with him, which we're going to talk about in a second. But yeah, and so wasted a bunch of time, but that's all right because the things that we spoke about was what actually was pretty insightful, you know? This friend that my old friend brought, let's call him Bob, right? Bob was pretty chill. He he worked a job for a company. He was pretty jacked, right? The first thing you notice about him is he's very jacked. Um, and you would assume that he's a meathead. But no, he's actually very, very intelligent. So that's why I respected him a lot for that. And so, we got to talking. We went from the gym to career to what he does because I asked, and so he works for a company, very statistical, very numbery. And I was like, how'd you get there? Internship to getting a position, all that. Like the very average, very secure job though. Probably making around 5 figures a month, right? And so the thing about Bob is he has his ideas on being self-employed, being an entrepreneur, escaping the matrix, like 2022 to 2026, that has been a very glorified theme, being able to be your own boss. Like of course, that's going to inspire young men everywhere, including myself, right? And this kind of touched me because I'm trying to do that right now. I'm pursuing this actively, so I started listening a little bit more closer to what he had to say. And so he has his ideas about it, right? Especially from personal experience because his buddy, right, Bob's friend, would see these reels online, very motivational about like, oh, quit your job, drop out of school, and pursue your dreams. But his friend would actually do it. And so he was like bashing the people who try to do this and all that. And he even admitted himself, like, I mean, yeah, I'd be inspired by those type of posts as well, right? Like, what young man doesn't want to have the idea of being free financially and having control, not having to ask a boss when to use the restroom, right? But then he rules out everything though. Course sellers, people who are consultants, everything like that, right? And like I get where he's coming from because his friend was dumb. His friend, Bob's friend, dropped out of like an incredible university to pursue this, and then he ended up working at a grocery store or something. And so yeah, I agreed with him. That is dumb. But that doesn't mean that everything should be ruled out, you know? And he told me that because of his brother that knocked some sense into him, he didn't want to pursue that career path, even though it's risky. Right? He wanted to stick by the book, stay working for a corporate, stay working a corporate job and being very secure, right? It takes work, but like you're secure, you're set. And so I'm like, yeah, that's pretty true. But what I didn't like was that he tried to rule out everything else. Since I believe that no matter how risky it is, you should always bet on yourself. Because that's exactly what I'm doing. And so much people along my journey has thought I was an idiot, thought that I didn't know what I was doing, thought that I was making the wrong move, and I'm gonna go nowhere with this, but I've been able to see growth. That's exactly why I pursue it today. You know, I make content online. I try to make YouTube now. I'm helping others get into the best shape of their lives. They're continuously progressing. They're getting compliments by other people out of the country. They get to live freely, you know? Like lock in on their fitness and then live freely by just being able to eat and do whatever they please because they know when to put in the work and they know when to have fun, right? And I'm there to support them along the entire process, right? That's what I do. And so when he told me about what he thinks about course sellers, thinking they're all a scam and like it's never gonna happen, the dreams are just, it's just people trying to scam you. I'm like, in the back of my mind, I was like, he's saying this to me, but he's not at the same time. But like, I was like, we think very, very differently, you know? Because me, I don't care what it is, I'm going to bet on myself if I know this is the right path. As for him, he let his brother influence his decision on giving up on what he actually wanted to do. But maybe he didn't want it that badly because that's why he quit, right? He said himself, oh yeah, of course, like I've wanted to make online money, I wanted to have my own business, but my brother knocked some sense into me and was like, nah, bro, that's never gonna happen. And then I listened to him. And I was like, yeah, I would never do that if I were you, right? I would never let any person around me stop me from doing what I want to do. But for the longest time, that has happened, right? I've struggled with that because I cared about what my parents thought, I cared about what friends thought, I cared about what my peers around me at school would think of me. And so I tried to keep this mask on, tried to make it seem like I am this person, but I'm truly something else, just so that I can fit into the social norm and do what's normal, right? And all that did was cut me off by my feet. It limited my potential because I wasn't doing what I actually wanted. And so I'd never be in the position I am right now. I would never get a healthy physique. I would never have a social media presence if I followed what everybody else wanted me to do, right? And so when he said that, in the back of my head, I was like, what is wrong with you, bro? Your brother was just hating. He just didn't believe you wanted to do it, and you let his belief that you couldn't do it outweigh your belief in you being able to do it. If that makes sense. Replay that if you don't get it, but like you let the opinions of others outweigh the opinions you have about yourself on your capabilities. And that's exactly what happened. Your frequency is what you frequently see. And if you're choosing to listen to what other people say, they're going to be right. But if you choose to listen to what you say and you not 98%, but 100% believe in it, then that's exactly what's going to happen. If you believe that you can actually pull it off yourself, if you can get that physique, if you can get that girl, if you can get that job, if you can cultivate this life that you want, it's possible as long as you 100% believe it. And I believe this. That's why it's going to happen for me. And so he didn't have faith in himself. And I see so much people are the same way. They let what people say or what people think dictate their actions and what they decide to pursue, right? And that has to do with such weakness in character. Don't let social media, what people say, what people think, what people want for you, dictate your beliefs and actions, because if you let that happen, you're just going to be a feather in the wind. That's it, right? And so when I saw Bob was just, accepting his life as what it was, by the way, it takes tremendous amount of work to be able to get an internship and also get a position anyway. So why not have the same level of work and put it to your self-improvement? Like that doesn't make any sense. You would work a job that you hate for a boss you don't even like and show up every single day or every single time you have to, but you wouldn't show up to the gym or you wouldn't show up to the grocery store and make it so that your life is better, right? You're just gonna be a victim and you're just gonna serve somebody else's dream. That's exactly what you're doing. And that's exactly what Bob was doing here. And no disrespect at all to him. He's secure. If anything, he's probably doing better than I am. You know, comfortable position at a job. And like, but the thing is, I wouldn't want the safe route. I wouldn't want the comfortable position. I would want to know for a fact that I'm betting on myself. I would rather do something that I love and be worse off than doing something that I hate just to have a bigger bank account. Right? That's just what I think. And so being in Bob's position takes work anyway. And I'm surprised he doesn't realize this because like he's a really good guy. But like if you wanted to be a self-employed entrepreneur, self-made, and if you wanted to be someone at a corporate job or work for a company and be in a good position, it takes the same level of work. It takes the same amount of work. It's just different because you have to think about it for when you want to be self-made. But as for somebody who is at a corporate job, you're just told what to do. You also do have to think, and then you just execute, right? Simple. It takes the same amount of work. So why not choose you? Why not do it for you? All right? You cannot escape pain in this life. Pain is the flavor of life. All right? I've learned this. I've saw this from somewhere. But you're always going to experience discomfort. You're always going to experience work you have to do. You're always going to experience pain or sadness or negative thoughts, feelings, and events. And so why not choose you? Why not choose where that happens? All right? I would rather suffer by having to show up to the gym and work out intensely and then eat clean and say no to other foods than have to suffer by showing up to the doctor because I have this illness and that illness and I have to pay this amount because I didn't secure my health when I had the chance to. All right? Just pick your poison. That's exactly what it is. Pick your poison, no matter what it is. And I always will choose the thing that will help me the most, the thing that I know is right. And what's right is betting on myself. What's right is doing the hard stuff that's going to help me, live longer, live healthier, a higher quality of life. And that's exactly what I would choose, right? I wouldn't choose anything else, and I wouldn't let anybody choose that for me, because if you get influenced by other people's opinions, what other people want for you, you're letting them choose for you. And whatever choice they make for you might not be the best. And so you have to live with that every single time you decide to do that. Subconsciously we're doing this because we're just listening and following the people who we look up to. Just like Bob followed his brother because he looks up to his brother. His brother's doing well, and so he wants to get like him. But that doesn't mean rule out on yourself. That doesn't mean rule out all the other opportunities if you know that it's better, right? Their lack of self-belief and their lack of belief that it can actually happen makes it so that they stay in a worse position. Like, yes, this goal can seem far-fetched. Yes, it can seem like it's far away and it's like impossible. But if you know it's possible for somebody, that somebody can be you. So what makes it different, right? And so this was super interesting to me because I could have easily thought the same way as Bob, But I grew to realize that work is required to do anything. It doesn't matter what it is. So I'm always going to try to work for myself. I'm always going to do the thing that's going to help me get put in the best position possible. And that's exactly what I'm going to continue to do. And so if there's anybody out there that's telling you to do this, telling you to do that, on social media, they say it's bad to do this, even though you know for a fact if you do it, it would make you better. Don't listen. Do not let any other person's judgment besides yours dictate your actions or the way that you live. All right? Become more stern about your beliefs. If you don't even have your own beliefs, then get off the internet, bro. Stop talking to people. Have a period of isolation, because that's when you're able to actually think. If you're influenced by all these TikToks and Instagram Reels and YouTube videos, and then you talk to so much people, you're around crowds, there is so much noise that you cancel out the noise in your head, the voice that's in your head that allows you to think for yourself. And so a period of isolation can actually benefit you a lot. Genuinely think back to thoughts that you have thought yourself. Think about it. I mean, of course, nobody has had an original experience, but try to think of what you've actually thought about from personal experience that makes sense, right? What is your own opinion? What can you claim as your own? And if you found it from a TikTok or an Instagram reel, then that doesn't count, bro. You're not thinking for yourself right now. You're thinking the other people's opinions. It's not yours. And so genuinely go back and think about it, because you might be somebody right now who is in the position of Bob's, who is easily influenced to do things and think a certain way. And so you're going to be ruling out opportunities that might actually put you in a better position in life, right? That can easily happen for anybody, right? So genuinely think about it, because if you don't, you're going to stay a victim. You're going to stay somebody who is easily manipulated, easily impressionable. And in this world, everybody wants you to think a certain way anyway. It's okay to masturbate regularly. It's not going to affect your health. It's okay to play video games, smoke weed, because you need to relieve yourself of stress. Stress causes cancer, right? So many things that people say and people try to feed down your brain. It's so important to have a strong mindset. It's so important to be stern on your beliefs. If you don't have beliefs, you need to think about it. The easiest way is try to adopt the mindset of somebody who you want to become. You can't listen to anybody else. And so I don't want to be like Bob, so I'm not going to listen to what he has to say. Anybody would easily be like, oh, wow, he's right. It makes sense. Like, it is risky to try to be self-employed, try to make it as an entrepreneur, especially in this economy, you know? But no, that's where you double down on what you think. Only take the opinions of people who you actually want to be like. And if they're a trustful person as well, do your research. Do things. Have role models that you actually look up to that are credible, you know, that actually changes lives. For me, right, a good role model I have is Alex Hormozi for business. Like, I like looking at his content. I like the way he thinks. But of course, you can't adopt thinking of an individual fully, right? You'll always have disagreements unless you're like a complete dick rider. Like, that's not good either. And so try to learn from people you want to be like and apply that to your life. And be committed to that, because if you listen to certain people and then contradict your own statements and like live another way, like, brother, you're still in the same trap you've been in the whole time. You're easily influenced. You're just easily influenced to be you're just now easily influenced to think a certain way as well. And so, like, whatever somebody says that's a big role model and has the life that you want to live, connects to your personal experience, what you have experienced through this and you see is true, then listen to that, adopt that, and claim that as your belief as well, because you have lived it as well. And so the point of this is, I wouldn't have been able to get to where I am right now if I was easily influenced because You know you're on the right path when people are telling you you're doing things wrong, when they're saying you should be doing this and that and this. And if you are weak, you will listen to them. And that's how you stay the same. Nobody's going to tell you something that's going to make you better than them unless they genuinely care about you. And these people are rare to, meet. These people are rare to find. But that's why you stick to what you know, and that's it. Whatever your gut is telling you, you stick to that. You don't let anybody else influence you, or else you're just going to be a feather in the wind. And so I hope this was educational. Like, I try to push as much value as possible. If you're somebody who is in shape, right, skinny, fat, and wants to genuinely push to become that exceptional version of themselves with the best physique, right, lean and aesthetic, and you have people always doubting you, telling you what to do, and you've been a victim to that, right? Because it feels bad that your parents are telling you this, or it feels bad that your friends aren't supporting you. Then let me support you. Let me support you along your journey. Let me work with you to get to that dream outcome you want to achieve, and let nobody tell you that you can't do it. And so if that sounds interesting to you, book a call. It's linked in the description, and I'll see if it makes sense for us to work with each other and see if you're a good fit. But with that being said, I love you guys all. I hope you guys all excel with all things that you want to accomplish, and I'll see you in the next video.